Welcome to the Leading Second podcast, a space to help church leaders thrive in the second chair. The Leading Second podcast releases every Thursday morning, so hit subscribe and share this episode with your team. Let's jump into another episode for all of us who lead from the middle.
Hello and welcome to Season 8 of the Leading Second podcast. It's our honor to have you in this space with us today. Thanks for joining us. If you lead from the middle in any capacity, Leading Second is for you. I'm glad you're here. For this season of the podcast, our episode guides are going to be made possible by Pulpit AI. So if you want to find the notes and questions and conversation starters, you can go to leadingsecond.com/podcast and download the episode guide. You can use it with your team or for yourself to make each conversation go a little bit further. We would love it if you would help us make some noise about the podcast by sharing it with your team or posting this episode on social media. And of course, leaving ratings and reviews. It all helps to share the message and move the ministry forward. Now let's jump into today's episode.
Well, Troy, welcome to the Leading Second podcast. We're so glad you're here today, my friend.
Thank you for the opportunity to join you all, the Leading Second tribe. Big fan of what you were doing, Brandon and Lindsay and the entire crew. So it's an honor to have a conversation on your platform today.
Hey, we are all one big family, one big tribe. We love and are honored to be a part of the greater Team Church tribe. And you lead that, you steward that. 30 seconds, you're a couple years in. What's it been like leading the Team Church tribe alongside Pastor Kevin and Sheila?
Oh, it's been a blast. It's been about coming up on 3 years doing that right now. It's been a joy getting to work with pastors and church leaders across the globe, specifically North America. We're at a good place. We're growing, having an impact. A lot of people are finding hope and encouragement and resources within the Team Church ecosystem. So it's been a joy, learning a lot, but enjoying every little bit of it.
The greatest church leaders conference in North America, unapologetically, is Team Church Conference. Anyone listening, you ought to check out the team.church online and join us this August. It's just the best space anywhere, as well as any of the road events and resources that are offered. But we're so thankful to be talking to you today. And then I've got back with me pastors Dillon and Leydanis Ritchie. I love being able to say that. Welcome back, my friends. Thanks for being on our team and always adding value to Leading Second.
Absolutely. Glad to be back. Excited. We'll try not to cause too much trouble like we normally do. I feel like we normally keep it under wraps. So that'll be what we try to do.
I'll be the troublemaker today. In this
Beautiful. We're putting that on you then.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
oh, boy. Here we go.
Here. Let's get
Got to reel us in, Brandon. Reel us in.
Well, I will say this. This episode today is personal for me. I am so interested. I'm excited, but I'm interested. I'm really leaned into what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about making the jump from corporate to ministry. And this is something I have watched from the sidelines for a number of years. I've never done it. I'm born and raised and straight out of high school, straight into ministry guy. So this was never my journey. And yet I have watched over the years many men and women make the jump from working in the corporate setting to the ministry setting. And I've come to notice that there can be such a win for the church when we get it right and some major pitfalls when we get it wrong. And this is just my attempt now to learn and to help some second chair leaders get it right. Maybe you're on your way into a ministry team or you have corporate in your background. I'm excited to have this conversation. Dillon and Leydanis are going to help me extract some gold from Troy. Maybe, Troy, why don't you start with your story today? First of all, you're an amazing husband and fellow member of Team Girl Dad. Come on, somebody. Two beautiful daughters. So we celebrate.
Having daughters.
We celebrate that side of your life. But let's go into your work in ministry story. Maybe just set the stage. Who are we talking to today What is kind of your background with corporate and ministry?
Well, I am a church kid. I was born and raised in the church. Some of my earliest memories are my parents being board members, department heads of growing church. I watched ministry up close. My dad, he was the guy that had the ring with 65 different keys on it to every room in the building. So taking the gum from the bottom of the pews Wednesday, Sunday nights. That's my background. But I didn't go to corporate to run from ministry. I went to corporate to grow. I wanted to gain experience and sharpen some of the skills that I felt that I had, the raw materials inside of me. And so back in 2011, I think is what it was, 2010, 2011, I said yes to what I call a God opportunity. It was a huge step of faith. But I had an opportunity to be part of a company that was the world's first mobile giving application. And I just wanted to be a part of something that could literally change the world and resource the kingdom in unquantifiable ways. Now, that was the biggest risk that I've ever taken in my entire life. I was 30 years old, and there was no promise on the other side of that step of faith. But that risk, it literally changed everything. And that took me on about a 15-year detour into corporate. Amazing, life change, lessons learned, impact, what we were able to do. But during that time, I was able to be a part of the founding team of 3 different tech companies. And then a couple years ago, kind of like a boomerang. So I started as a church kid, ministry, kind of went to corporate, honed some of my skills, learned a lot, and then kind of the boomerang back into Team Church and Champion Center. So I just feel like as I'm back in ministry, I have so much more to bring to the table with the lessons that I learned in corporate.
I think why I'm interested in having this conversation specifically with you today is I remember, so I was on the other side of the equation. I remember sitting with Pastor Kevin with the growing ministry of Team Church and really sensing God wanting to do something, God wanting to do something in the church, God wanting to do something with the Team Church ministry. And you had a pastor going, I think we have a member of the church who could offer and bring some corporate organizational skills to ministry. So I remember that conversation. I remember, I'm just trying to get this in everybody's neighborhood. You had this pastor who saw, we have an opportunity here to bring someone from that world to this world, which I think it's worth saying these 2 worlds are not better than or worse than, they're just simply very different from. And we're going to kind of explore that today. And I think Pastor Kevin wasn't alone. I think that there is a real brilliance and strategy to that. So I remember what that felt like and the hopes of Pastor Kevin, the hopes that, man, we could move forward organizationally, or we could move forward strategically. So what a gift, first of all, and we're going to get to some of the challenges in a minute. Just tell me, what's your experience been like coming kind of back to the ministry world from the corporate world? Just what does that story look like for you? What was your experience like?
It's a big question right there. I think one of the keys, Brandon, you opened this up and you said, hey, there's a lot of corporate folks making that jump to ministry. Mixed reviews. If you look at the scoreboard right now, it might look like there's a few more L's than wins in some of those transplants over. I think one thing, and you're talking about Team Church, is when I moved up here to Seattle, Washington, that was the founding location, the headquarters for our previous company, I never stopped attending and serving at church.
That's right.
Even though I was 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week in corporate and scaling and growing companies that we took public twice, I never stopped serving in the house. Now, there were sometimes, obviously, that I couldn't be there. And so I think that might be an ingredient, Brandon, as you're looking to unlock some of these keys in a pastor out there. If you're considering this, what's the history of this individual in their serving capacity, even when they aren't getting a paycheck. For me, it was serving on weekends. It was, holding the sign in the parking lot. And then in 2017, 2018, Pastor Kevin, who we're speaking about right now, he asked my wife and I if we wanted to volunteer by leading the legacy team. So some churches call it Kingdom Builders Legacy Team. That's even still to this day, that's a volunteer position.
Right.
And so we were serving and building systems and working very closely with Pastor Kevin and Pastor Sheila and hearing their heart. And they were getting exposed to us before any of this formalized stuff happened. So I think some of this proximity, how are you serving? What is your heart? Even though in corporate, I was doing something very, very different. When I could, I was still serving God's house. And I never took a break of that.
Update for you, you can now find this episode of the podcast in video form on Leading Second Plus, alongside the whole library of online courses designed to help church leaders thrive in the second chair. We know there's a tension when you're leading from the middle, and that's why we've created a space for leaders just like you who want to get it right for your pastor and develop skills and wisdom to know that you're winning at your role. So you'll be able to get new content regularly, anytime, anywhere, from world-class leaders that you know and love, and you'll get exclusive second chair leadership development content from our library. So we're happy to offer you a 7-day free trial. If you want to check it out, you can go to leadingsecond.com to take your new step in leadership development.
That's a great ingredient. And I think that's what we're looking for today. We're looking for the cheat code here. What should we be looking for to get this right? Just to add a little bit of context, Troy, to what you just said. I mean, my experience as a coach on this has been mixed. I'm going to be honest. I have seen some, like yourself, really make it and really succeed. And some I've been very hopeful on. I've also seen some just quite frankly not do well and exit ministry in under a year, or even just struggle for a long time. So we're kind of on the boat. We want to offer a lifeline to any that are considering the jump or feeling the water a little bit over their head. Could there be some, a little bit of a code we could offer to try to help, in that way? Dillon and Leydanis, I'm going to throw this your way.
Yeah, Troy, you and I, we have a similar story. You spent a little bit more time in corporate than I did. I spent about 5 years in corporate, then jumped to ministry for about what's been about 6 years now. But what I hear you saying when you're explaining your journey is you understood the value of being in the house. And I think sometimes where the corporate people get it wrong is they think they can add more value to the house than the house can add to them. And it's that posture that really gets you into trouble when you make that transition from corporate to ministry. Is you think because you've learned some stuff and you've got some tools and you've got some gifts, you think you're more of a value to the house than the house is to you. And I hear your heart on how that's played out in your ministry journey.
I think you just illuminated something that's really wise. But that's the corporate dog eat dog hamster wheel mentality. It's me. We know the kingdom. You want to be great in the kingdom? Great. Get low and serve. Yeah. You want to be great in corporate? Great. Jump on my shoulders, leverage information around the organization, gossip here, say this at the water cooler here. Like, you got to climb that ladder, and it's a dog eat dog. It's perseverance. But yeah, I think, Dillon, what you're saying is spot on. In my experience, the corporate world is all about outputs. You measure your success in your metrics, your revenue, your performance, what square you occupy on that org chart, how many direct reports you have, what's your compensation package. It's all me. Well, in ministry, it's not about outputs, because Bible tells us God brings the growth. So it's about inputs.
Great.
Wow.
What's your faithfulness?
Beautiful.
Are you being obedient? Are you serving? we plant, we water, God brings the increase. So that right there, that paradigm is completely opposite of the world system. So you have to surrender outcomes and focus on inputs. In my background, especially in startups, corporate leadership is very much driving like a speedboat. I mean, you can have an all hands stand up meeting at 9 a.m. and change direction by 9:20 a.m. And you're just speedboat. You can turn quickly, you can pivot fast, make decisions on the fly. Boom, boom, boom. This is what you're doing. And people are built with that stamina to do that. Ministry, it's very much like a cruise liner. It takes a lot longer to move people, to shift that culture, because we're dealing with hearts.
Yeah.
And so like in corporate, if we're talking about outputs, inputs, if you didn't hit your output, whatever your sales goal was, whatever your revenue number was, if you didn't hit that, like, you're looking for a job in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's black and white. In ministry, you're dealing with people's hearts. You're dealing with volunteers. And so it takes a lot longer to get those feedback loops in. And I just think, to summarize it, ministry is inputs. God brings the increase. Corporate, you focus on outputs.
Great. That's well said. Let me ask you this. What are some of the adjustments you had to make?
Great.
In the ministry world, from how you maybe led or behaved in the corporate world?
Well, because I started as a church kid, I had to learn the corporate behavior that was not inside of me. So I came in, I'm not saying I'm Jesus, but I was more of a servant leader, willing to serve the vision.
Right.
I had to learn the behavior of be that corporate leader and not deal with hearts, not focus on inputs, but be output focused. There was a learning curve for me tremendously. It took a while to get to that point. And then you look back in the rearview mirror over 10 years and you go, wow, I kind of, through osmosis, just became this corporate leader. And then even jumping back into ministry, I had to unlearn some of that terminology, some of that output focus, realize how to shepherd people, how to pastor people, how to deal with hearts. So for me, it was a huge learning curve, writing organizational plans, OGSMs, OKRs, RACI charts, how to raise capital. I mean, how to build tech for 500 staff that changed the world. I mean, that was a learned behavior for me. I didn't come out of the womb knowing that. But a lot of it, the strategic thinking, the planning, all of that is still transferable. The expression in ministry just changes, but the tool is still there in the tool belt. How to use it then begins to change a bit.
Great. Pastor Troy, so with what you were just saying, I think when we think of corporate can be very positional over missional. When we think of ministry, it's mission over position. But in order to reach the mission, you need to have great systems and processes within your teams and within the ministry to help you accomplish that. So coming from the corporate world, what are some specific skill sets that have actually helped you thrive in your ministry?
Yeah.
Great question. Okay. So there was this period of time in one of our previous tech companies in a 27-month period. Okay. Just over 2 years. We went from 10 million in revenue to 100 million in revenue. That's 10x growth in 27 months. So systems, processes, people's mindset, skill sets, everything has to change by a fold of 10x, even just to keep up. You go from 50 staff to 500 staff, everything. So the ability to scale and build for the future, it has translated directly into ministry, vision casting, strategic thinking, how to build culture, how to understand how to develop people, how to raise capital. We talked about legacy team, how to raise capital, cross-functional frameworks. All of that has translated into the ability to lead the church with greater clarity and scalability. I think one of the greatest skills that is transferable is anytime you're building something, a company, if you have a cucumber farm, if you're building Leading Second, if you're building a church, if you're building a tech company, You're leading people to a place or a destination that they have not yet been to.
It's good.
So you're helping them see what is possible.
Yeah.
And to build anything great, it requires more than just hustle. You got to give clarity. You got to be courageous. You got to be consistent. Especially got to have God's hand of favor upon it. But those kind of things, the expression in corporate might be different, but the skill is still usable in ministry, because you're taking people on a place, on a journey that they have not been to yet. So how are you leading those people? In corporate, you can whip them.
Come on.
In ministry, you're not whipping them.
Yeah.
You're hugging them and you're speaking to potential.
Right.
Beautiful.
It's a great question, Lays, and maybe a follow-up would be, are there any mindsets, skills, behaviors that didn't serve you well when you made the jump over into ministry? Like, what did you have to kind of return to or relearn, thinking this is behavior I need to shed, making that jump?
In ministry, people are not products.
Mm.
And growth is more organic than exponential.
Yeah.
In ministry, how do you rush discipleship?
Yeah.
Character development. You can't. You got to focus on the inputs, read scripture with them, pray with them, walk alongside them, table of truth conversations with them. In corporate, hey man, just put a little bit more money behind that. Let's make that go viral. Let's hit this marketing. Let's get this influencer to do this. Let's program and market this. Yeah. You can, I don't know if this is the right term, but flesh it out a little bit more by putting a little bit more resource behind it. Recognizable face. I mean, look at marketing today. They just get a recognizable face or athlete to say, I endorse this brand. There you go. Well, not in ministry. People aren't products. People have hearts.
Yeah.
They have their own will. They have their own decisions.
Well, and I love that you said that, because you think of corporate, a metric is a metric. In ministry, a metric is a person. A salvation is a person. A child coming to church for the first time, there's a story behind that. So it's beautiful the way that you just shared that.
Well, and Lays, to your point, I mean, Troy and I were just in a meeting with Pastor Kevin and Sheila, the executive team at Champion Center recently, and we're talking about metrics. Where would we like to be by the end of the year? And that's all fine and good. We were very confidently talking about, we'd like to see this, we'd like to see that. But then underneath that, I mean, we can't get so cold about numbers in ministry. We want to see 12% growth or, whatever, that we forget that every life is this diamond to be stewarded, by the Lord. And that's really where I think a lot of our heavenly reward will come from. Yeah, maybe not in the 12% growth, but in the stewardship of every life. I mean, would you agree with that, Troy?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest lessons and grace that I have to give myself in taking this jump back to ministry is at Team Church. Many of you know, we do a lot of events. We do events around North America, and we host these events, and they're great. And, you do an event in corporate, it's like, okay, what was the registration revenue that was brought in? How much was the upsell? How many new customers, clients did we get from this? How many returning clients? Like, it's, you kind of measure the success of that event based on the bottom line. Was it a win financially? Did, those types of things? It was more quantifiable. Well, in these events that we do at Team Church, I mean, sure, there's people in the room and there's a very small fee that they pay that doesn't even cover the lunch, but you don't get that bottom line. You don't even come anywhere near the bottom line of what it took to put that event on. But you go, you know what? We made an input. We made a deposit into every church leader in this room. And we believe at some point, there is going to be fruit from that input that we made. So for me, done, D-O-N-E, in the corporate world, it's, hey, you checked off the box, completed the task, hit the deadline, crushed it, completed the objective. It's binary. It's either finished or not. We're done. This was a great event. In ministry, done has a little bit different definition in Webster's dictionary. It doesn't always mean that the work is like wrapped up in that traditional sense. It's like, okay, did you do what God called you to do? Yeah. Okay. Even if the results aren't immediate or fully measurable, we did it. We were obedient to host this event in St. Louis, and we gave the people what we think they need. Now, we won't see fruit right away, but we're just going to believe that God owns the outcome. And those types of lessons are just, what I'm still learning and unlearning in some ways as well, too.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What's something unique about the culture of ministry that can be hard for someone coming from the corporate world to understand or embrace? I mean, just try to break it down. Like what are the things that someone, if they're going to make that jump, will need to be aware of, where ministry has some uniqueness?
I mean, we can preach the church. It's a body, the body of Christ. We have different parts and limbs and all that. You treat it very much like a family. Ain't no corporate company that's focused on hitting their deliverables and making shareholders proud. Ain't nobody calling them a family. You mean one thing to me. This is transactional. You hit your number and we look good. And that's the depth of this relationship. It doesn't mean that you can't get friendly. It doesn't mean that you can't have barbecues together. But I'm just trying to answer that very complex, deep question in a very simplified way. You, sir, you, ma'am, you are paid to do this job. When you don't do this job at this level of performance, bye-bye. And that's the depth of our relationship. And we understand it. Go ahead.
Yeah, that is so wild to me. I just have to say and acknowledge someone who grew up in ministry. I grew up, your pastors are called that's my spiritual dad. That's my spiritual mom. I mean, think about the language we use.
Right.
We're taught to just bleed for each other. So as someone who literally grew up around that baptized, and I also think Champion Center excelled in this. I also think there's a very deep, culture there. So it's so hard for me to get my head around that, like how someone would treat someone that way. But yeah, I've seen it, Troy. I've seen a well-intentioned XP come in, maybe as the point we made earlier, a little bit of that I'm here to save the day mentality, and start whipping everybody into shape. And the thing just rebels against them because you're trying to whip into shape this family. I mean, I'm just trying to acknowledge that is a huge tension that I don't think one side understands about the other, if I'm honest.
And maybe why we're having this conversation today and why we're maybe seeing more L's than W's and people transplanting from corporate to ministry is just not understanding and taking a second to realize my management style, how I'm leading people.
Great.
It's a very different way than rah, 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 whip, 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 hit your number or you're gone. It's a family. And do you divorce your kids? My 4.5-year-old, when she disobeys me, am I like, oh, you got to go. You're not fired. Let's talk about this. Let's work through this together. And that's ministry. That's successful ministry. Jesus never once fired a disciple for messing up, putting their foot in their mouth. In fact, the one that betrayed him, he called him friend right before that happened. Yeah. So this paradigm of corporate in this sense, very different. And I think that style of corporate leadership, it gets repelled by the church culture because it's very different. It's a square peg into a round hole.
Troy, go with me for a minute on this journey. So I'm a guy who's now in ministry, right? Came from the corporate world. I'm listening to this podcast right now, and I am feeling a deep level of conviction. What is my next step? Or what is my first step to start to transform or transition myself from this dog-eat-dog corporate monster that was built for that purpose to now I am having the revelation that there may need to be some shifts in my heart. What do I do next? What do I do now?
Well, to that Dillon out there hearing this, first, thanks for giving us some time and inviting us into your world and having your heart open enough to say, hey, I want to grow. And that self-awareness that you even pointed out, Dillon, is just so wise for you just to say, hey, I want to get better in this. I'll just kind of rattle off maybe a couple things that came to mind is number one, don't assume what worked in corporate is going to work in the church world. Don't assume that. Don't try to manage people like projects. People are not projects. They are stories. They are mosaics that are in progress, just like you and just like me. And we can't lose sight of people in this journey. We are in the people business. In corporate, you are selling goods or services, probably selling goods or services to generate revenue.
Yeah.
That's not what ministry is. You ain't selling nothing. There's no services and there's no goods. You are helping people get spiritually whole and take a step on their faith journey. So don't treat them like a project. Don't treat them like a spreadsheet. Remember, they are a person. They have a soul. They have a spirit, and they're trying to do the best that they can. So once you have that, okay, I'm seeing people now no longer like a project, I would just say focus on discipling them. Focus on inputs. Focus on shepherding them. Don't lead them to an outcome. Focus on inputs. What do they need? Word of encouragement today. What do they need? Arm around their shoulder. What do they need? Attaboy, attagirl, you can do it.
Yeah.
Like change your leadership style. Don't expect them to change. But once your leadership style changes and you start seeing a person different than a product or person different than an outcome, your heart is going to be more sensitive and celebrate any wins that you get along the way. Even if it didn't hit that outcome that you're looking for, celebrate the small wins along the way. If that person out there is struggling with this right now and feeling convicted, and give yourself some grace. You can't unlearn all the corporate dog-eat-dog world overnight. There's going to be a process that you go through as well too. And the same grace that God's having with you in this new role is the same way you got to have grace in people underneath you.
Very good.
To achieve a certain level of standard at your church.
Wow.
The last thing I would just say is one of the biggest lessons that has helped me and that I've learned is the journey is the destination.
Wow.
I think oftentimes if you're wired anything like me and you want whatever that is, the car, the kid, the job title, the responsibility, the microphone, whatever that is, I promise you, once you do get it, by the way, it's going to be very unfulfilling, by the way, side note. But just remember the journey into getting all this, the journey into who are you becoming, the journey in the church that we're building, the journey in the ministry that is growing. That is the destination. There's not something out here that is a finish line. And so God is doing something in you, not just through you.
Wow.
Great.
Troy, maybe we can start to land the plane with this question just on a personal note, because I think you've taken us to kind of a little more of a raw moment here.
Yeah.
So let's add on to it. Did you ever feel out of place or like you didn't belong in the ministry? So I know you church kid, you came from it, but did you ever feel like fish out of water?
How about right now? How about every day? Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. Brandon, absolutely. Do I really belong in a room full of lifelong pastors?
Right.
Yeah. Imposter syndrome to this very moment of having this conversation. Absolutely. And I think that is the thief of joy, though, is when you start comparing yourself to him or to her.
Yeah.
And God has reminded me, no, Troy, I've called you to be you, and you have a unique gifting right now where you have both experiences to pull from. It's not better than, it's just different from. And if you're comparing yourself to this lifelong pastor who knows scripture backwards and forwards and has a theology degree and all of this, like, that's a strength that he or she has. But God also gave you a 15-year detour, and you went into corporate, took a company public twice and learned all these skills. You got an MBA 15 times over. They also can learn a little bit together. And that's when we harmoniously can work and grow together. So rather than looking at those other people and thinking, I'm intimidated, I'm an imposter, I don't belong, it's kind of like, okay, God, please, how can I serve this room? How can I serve this leading second tribe? How can I serve this conversation?
Right.
By sharing some experiences, good or bad, that I've learned from, that together we have this holistic viewpoint.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is definitely something that even to this day, at team church events, whether it's on the microphone or whether it's talking to a pastor, like Goliath taunting me, Brandon, it is as loud as can be. Troy, they're looking at you like you got nothing to say. You don't got street cred. You're not one of them. Like, as the conversation that I'm having with them, I've had to learn how to silence that and go through that. But yeah, it's real, no doubt about it.
Wow. I just think that's important to acknowledge. I certainly feel like you do a great job confronting it, because I don't feel like you wear it. So let me just ask you this to finish it up. How do you confront it? What are if it's Goliath, what stones do you throw at that imposter syndrome?
Well, 43 years of trying to deal with it in one little snapshot. Okay, let me see if I can.
No small questions around here, Troy.
It's a really tough question. I tell myself, God has called me to be who I am, and I got to walk in the confidence of that. He did not make a mistake. And there's stuff that I used to sell strawberries on the side of the road after I was laid off from the fire department in 2007 because budget cuts hit Riverside County Fire. And so I pulled my Chevy Silverado up on the side of the road and started slinging strawberries.
You did not.
That is kid you not. One of the greatest jobs I've ever had, because I leaned into it and I said, God, what are you trying to do in me? Right. Humble me, teach me, whatever. And I will tell you this. What I learned in selling strawberries and how to treat people, 20 years later, I still use to this very day today. There is nothing that is wasted in God. Your worst season, your mountaintop experience season, corporate ministry, whatever it is, God can and will use every single aspect of your life. And so when Goliath is taunting me, Troy, you got nothing to say. You have no value to add. You have no experience to share. You're not one of them. You're wearing a different color jersey than them. No, devil, no, Goliath. Yes, I do. And so does that person out there that's listening today, is you do have something to share. You do have a unique experience, something that you've went through in your life that can absolutely change the direction of that pastor's life or that corporate leader's life. Don't bite your tongue. Serve, honor, and share when God opens up the opportunity. So
beautiful.
I just have seen God use too much in my life that I thought was a bad thing, and he used it for good.
Yeah. Well, and Troy, just to honor you in closing, it's so interesting actually for me to hear you say that. Sometimes we don't see that side of people when they're leading out front. I just really believe that's made you sharper. I mean, you are one of the most people. You have such high EQ, and you call it a there you are leader. You see people, but you just got to think that probably got sharpened in you because you had to make that jump. And I just want to honor you by way of saying, maybe the very thing that intimidates us, or that's that Goliath, is actually sharpening us at the same time, for the plan and purposes of God. And I wanted to talk to you today. I don't think this will be the last time we talk about this. I wanted to talk to you today because I feel like you've done a great job at making the jump. And we just honor you for that. Paul talks to Timothy about a pattern. I think you people need patterns in ministry to follow. So thank you for a little bit of a pattern for us to grab onto today. I'm going to actually just give you the floor, a really wide open question. Would you say anything with final encouragement to someone listening today who's in your seat making this journey? Anything you want to say to them today in closing?
Yeah, if you're out there and you're considering making this jump, or you've recently made this jump, I just want to encourage you that it's the right jump for you. Even if you don't feel like you're getting wins on the board yet or making an impact, you're doing the right thing. I trust that you prayed about it. I trust that you seeked God and got the right decision. But just like Peter stepped out of that boat on a maybe, wasn't even as a promise that you're going to walk on water. Sometimes we have to say yeses to God opportunities. And I'm just so proud of you if you're considering that. Yeah. Seek wisdom, build a decision matrix if you need to, like, hey, God, is this the right thing to do? But at the end of the day, just remember that ministry is a calling, and sometimes it doesn't all add up on a spreadsheet and make all the sense in the world, because if it did, it wouldn't require faith. And we're all on this faith journey. And I just encourage you to still use those corporate skills and those giftings that you had, just the way that you implement them and the way that you express them in ministry. Just remember, you're in the people business, and the greatest asset of any company, ministry or corporate, is people. People are the greatest asset in any company. And so first focus on the person, make deposits into the person, speak life to the person, call them, hire, disciple them, steward them. Outcomes will follow, but first focus on the person. You got this. You can do it. I believe in you. And just thanks for the opportunity. Dillon, Lays, and Brandon, and Leading Second community. Love what you all are doing. So proud of it, seeing it grow. Love being a part of it, watching on the sidelines, praying for you all, cheering you on. I'm just so excited for what you're doing, Brandon. And thank you for having this conversation. I think that this is a frequency on the FM dial that is often not listened to. Sorry for all the Gen Zs and Gen Alphas that have no clue what an FM dial is right now. But this is a conversation that you, Brandon, you're the tip of the spear. So thanks for having this conversation, because if we bring a lot of that business acumen that's in corporate into ministry, it's gonna level it up. But we just got to help them transplant to be healthy in ministry.
That's right. That's right. Well said today, my friend. That's a masterclass in that jump. But we're gonna stop there today and pick up the FM signal another day. Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Dillon and Lays. Love you all so much.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
It is our honor to serve churches and leaders across the globe. We equip ministry leaders with the coaching, events, and resources needed to embrace their calling, get it right with their pastor, and lead in an uncommon way. Visit our website, leadingsecond.com, to learn how we can come alongside you as you lead from the middle. From the second chair, for the second chair.